Okay, so that was the end of that episode. So on to the review now. So Beth is gone. Beth is dead. I think that one took me by. I don't want to say surprise, but it did still. I mean, it did kind of still catch me off guard how quickly Dex managed to clock her just before they left, and the fact that he got in and actually got to work on his own investigation of DDK so quickly allowed him to actually catch out on the fact that Beth was with Beth was with Steve. But not only that, but he had actually seen that face not even a few seconds ago. And if she was with Steve, then the two targets would have been her and Beth working with DDK. So he managed to. I thought he was going to try and shut down the Wormwood bomb, or he was going to try and throw it out the window, or something like that. But he had no other choice. He had no other choice. And knowing that she was connected to Steve, her remaining alive, would just give DDK like another chance to break her out, or give her another way to escape and get back to Travis, or something along those lines. So he just pushed her into the interrogation room and locked it behind her, and then we watched her. She choked to death on her own blood. So that was a lovely sight. But yeah, so then that whole thing was classed as a terrorist attack by Homeland Security. So they brought in themselves and the FBI to help monitor the situation, help monitor the case, because the DDK thing was getting out of hand. It was moving on from lower level tableau murders to trying to gas an entire building full of people. So yeah, but I mean, would it have? I guess would it have done the whole building though? Because I think for the most part it was only that floor, like that particular floor, that was actually harmed. Because the brunt of the damage was in the interrogation room, and Beth took the brunt of the damage, but then Dexter was the only other one affected by it. No one else was warned against these symptoms that we saw. He was the one warned against the symptoms of nosebleeds and dizziness and all that stuff, which came back to bite him in the ass in the end. That one just had me shaking my head. Like, yeah, sure, Dexter's ready to take down Travis and end this DDK shit once and for all. Oh shit, not again. Not now. Just not now. Not the nosebleeds or the dizziness. And then he goes like, yeah, I can do this shit. Oh crap. Okay, just crashing into chairs and making a lot of noise, alerting Travis to your position. Yeah, just I'm gonna try and no. Okay, I've been taken out by my own resources now, so that's great. Yeah, that ending definitely kind of took the cake. But so now Travis is in this mission by himself, and he's kind of using the final beast thing as his final tableau to inflict his little one-man army reign of terror from God against all of humanity. So that's fun. But Agent Hubbard is the one here representing Homeland Security in that kind of monitoring. So they did say they were going to give they did say that they gave control back to Miami Metro, but they were still going to be around to monitor the situation and see how everything was going. So they have little to no time to actually track down Travis and actually end this once and for all. So we'll see how that stuff goes. But the what is it called? How did I even write that? The Lake of Fire? Yeah, the Lake of Fire, I think, is the next tableau, and we saw it. We saw in the end that was that was essentially what Travis actually inflicted, like the Lake of Fire, like the Beast versus the Beast. And I mean, I don't know if the Beast versus the Beast thing was originally. I think we did see one Beast in the book that Dexter was reading, but I don't know if there were two Beasts or whether they kind of twisted it to fit their own kind of conflict. But he did. Travis did use having incapacitated Dexter as an advantage to his own side, and he tied up Dexter, put him on a boat full of gasoline, and he even set the ocean on fire. So that was fun. So quite literally enacting the Lake of Fire in that sense. But yeah, that was that. We had Matthews admitting in the middle of dinner to the hooker's killing, and that was even after Deb had actually given him signs, given him direct signs that Deborah actually knew it was him that was involved in the case, and that he was the one who was involved in not only in the hooker's death, but also in actually having left the crime scene. And I think him kind of holding that against her, being like, oh, I'm the only one who gets hurt. Like, yeah, you did the wrong things. You don't just use your job to try and alleviate the stress of that, or you don't use having mentored and protected and cared for someone as a way to kind of alleviate this. Like, you don't use the fact that you've mentored Deb for so long and all that sort of stuff to try and get her to hold off on you. Like, you accept the consequences of your actions, especially given what your job is. You don't just take the easy way out. Even making it worse in the end, being like, oh, I'm the only one who can protect you from this kind of job, or protect you from the consequences or like the hardship that this job can actually come with. So good luck getting along without me. But yeah, in the end, even it was LaGuerta who actually, fucked her over really badly, and just, released the news to higher authorities that Matthews had actually done that thing. And on the one hand, she makes a good point, saying that, you really think Matthews actually, chose you to be promoted as lieutenant instead, instead of me or Batista. Like, no, it was just a play to get back at LaGuerta for everything that was going on between them, and for everything that had gone on between them in the past. It was just the truth. Again, I had that feeling from the beginning. Like, before he had shown no signs of actually wanting to promote Deb, or wanting to give her any kind of special commendation for her work. It was literally just out of the blue, like, oh, hey, Deb, fancy seeing you here after all these years that we've worked together. How would you like to be lieutenant so that I can keep LaGuerta just under my thumb, where I can actually control her? That was literally all that was. She made a good point there, but at the same time, pretty dickish move, like her even using that, like, oh, this isn't a playground, this isn't fair play, this is the politics of the job, you learn to fight back and all that stuff. But it's no kind of hidden secret that since the very beginning of the show, LaGuerta has always had it in for Deborah, and she's always tried to find a way to make Deborah's job as hard as possible, and to actually make it harder than it needs to be, whilst disguising it as, oh, that's the reality of the job, nothing ever goes your way, you have to learn to deal with it. When in reality, she just manipulates things to go the way she wants to, and the opposite direction for others, and then just disguises that as reality. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen to Deb now. I feel like, I feel like this is literally going to be her only season as lieutenant. I think at the end of that, I think in the next episode we will see her being demoted. Either being demoted or realizing the truth behind her promotion, and also realizing the truth, realizing that she won't get to keep her job or do her job properly in the same way now that she now that everything is out in the open. LaGuerta knows the true nature of she knows how LaGuerta feels about her being lieutenant. Realistically, now she knows Matthew's situation, so she knows that, for one thing, she did not get this job organically. It was just a political tactic against LaGuerta. And for another thing, there is no chance that she's going to stay in this job much longer, or one wrong step she takes. And the DDK thing has been the hardest thing she's faced in this job. So one more misstep, one more wrong step anywhere in any direction, and that could easily just be all the excuse higher ups need to actually demote her down. So I think for her it would be better if she actually let go of the job of her own accord and actually move down to being detective again, and then let Batista he could actually take up that opportunity to actually be the lieutenant for once. As long as LaGuerta's not back in it, because I think once she jumps back into the lieutenant pool, she's just gonna continue making life harder for Deb. Even as a detective, she's just gonna shut her out of cases and do everything she can to actually, now that she's back, now that Deb's climbing down the ladder, LaGuerta's gonna try as hard as she can to keep her there. So I'd much rather someone who actually knows and respects Deb for the hard worker and for the good detective that she is, like Batista. I'd much rather he actually step up to the job as well. And I think Batista is someone that LaGuerta would not have any objection towards being detective, towards being lieutenant either. So that would be something that she could tolerate a lot more. But yeah, I feel like in the next episode she might either. I think it would be much more understandable, and I think it would be much easier to actually see her letting go of the job of her own accord than just being forced, like, you know, to drop it and leave everything behind. So yeah, but that's the LaGuerta stuff and the Matthews stuff. Yeah, the Matthews thing, that really irked me, especially the end scene and the dinner scene. Like, again, like it's just like, I mean, it's beyond wrong for him to actually use that kind of history and that kind of job like that, like him like thinking like just because he's like done such a good job in his role and he's helped some people, he thinks that means he's exempt from a one-time thing. Like, in reality, he should be held accountable regardless of his credibility to own up to that thing. Like, I mean, again, people like that, they don't want to hear about what they did wrong. They just want they just want the people who are willing to out them for it, or, you know, or the people who know about what they really did to know that, you know, if they go down, they're taking the other people down with them. So yeah, Matthews, I think he's definitely going to be in the shitter in the next episode. The word's already out, so I think it was real. I think he said someone did speak to the higher ups, but nothing was actually confirmed yet. So he is kind of in the dock still. But I think by the next episode, he is gonna be in the shitter, and then Deb's gonna kind of try and reevaluate everything. But we'll see how that goes. But speaking of reevaluating, what the fuck went on this episode with that therapist? What the fuck went on with that? I mean, not that I have anything against that therapist. I think, you know, obviously with therapists, they have to get everything. Like, I mean, they want you to be comfortable, but at the same time, they need all the variables to make a kind of well-constructed kind of decision on what could be bothering you and what the likelihood is and what the answer likely is as well. Like, you know, like, I mean, I think their policy is that they're not there to tell you what's wrong or to tell you what they think, or they will tell you what they think is wrong, but they're not there to officially classify. They're just there to help you figure it out on yourself, so that, you know, you're able to make a well processed and kind of tactical decision about it. But then this episode, she goes on to suggesting that Deb is in love with Dexter. Not something I thought I would ever see coming. And then from then on, it just went downhill in Deborah's kind of dreamland. Just went straight downhill from Deborah's dreamland. So yeah, but what went down there, I have no idea. So apparently Deborah's love for Dexter as a person in her life means that she's always chosen people who are wrong for her, like emotionally unavailable or inappropriate or something along those lines, because what she really wants is Dexter, but then knowing that she can't have him, she settles for other people, and, you know, she tries to make the best out of both situations. I mean, you know, she's had Rudy, she's had an ice truck killer, she's had Anton, who was a CI, so following in her father's footsteps, and she had Lundy, literally old enough to be her father. But yeah, so like all of those have been pretty kind of like, you know, I don't want to say tragic, but pretty consequential kind of relationships. Like, it's never really worked out in the end for her. But then now the therapist is suggesting that, you know, oh, maybe it's because you can't have Dexter. And, you know, it's like, you know, well, like, then she's like, well, we're siblings, of course I can't have him. And she's like, well, you're not biologically related. He's adopted. And, you know, like, to be honest, it just reminds me of the exact same thing that people say about Barry and Iris on The Flash. Like, you know, wait, so he married the girl who was practically his sister growing up. I think for me that one it's a lot clearer to see how it makes sense, because, you know, he never really saw her as like, she saw him at times as a brother. I think that one's arguable, but he never saw her as a sister. He never saw it that way. He saw them as his extended and chosen family, but it was never that. I mean, you know, like, Joe was very much a father to him, but, you know, like, Iris was his best friend growing up. Like, before he even moved into their family as a child, they were his, you know, like, they were best friends. They were really close childhood friends. So that was the relationship that actually got boosted and grew as they grew up. So but in this case, it's like, you know, Deborah and Dexter have only ever known each other as siblings. They've literally only ever known each other as siblings, and legally speaking, they are siblings. So it's like, you know, saying like, oh, you're not biologically adopted, you're just biologically related, even you're just adopted. It's like, yeah, but they still have that kind of, like, you know, psychological connection together. Like, they don't look at each other like, all the time and say, oh wow, if you weren't my sibling, then the things I would do to you, like it's not that kind of a relationship. It's like one where they're both aware and content with the fact that they are siblings and they're there for each other and they're family at the end of the day. Like that's what that is. But then I think it's like one of the things. But I think it's also one of the things where your therapist is pointing something out to you that you think is so absurd and ridiculous and couldn't possibly be true, and then from there on out you can't really stop thinking about anything but that. So with Deb, she imagines having a nice kind of like a night in with Dexter with dinner and everything, and then that kind of leads into like I mean, it's got all those cues. It's like Dexter being really open and warm and like comforting towards her, and then ends with a kiss and everything, and then she wakes up and she's like, yeah, great. So she's having romantic dreams about Dexter now. It goes without saying, I really hope that's not the route they go down, but I don't know. I feel like for next season that might be a thing, like Deborah being like, oh wow, she like that might be her new subplot. That might be Deborah's new subplot for the next season. Like she's battling her incestuous romantic feelings for her adopted brother. I have no idea how the hell they're going to pull that off without it being insanely creepy, but I don't know. I think I want to say I have faith with the writers, but do I really? I have no idea. I have no idea. But and yeah, I think it's not just due to my inconsistency with this season's reactions, but it's also due to the fact that with this season it just seemed like such a rocky road. It just like there's some stuff I just haven't been able to keep up with, and other stuff that just seems like it's like kind of and then in the end they pop this stuff out, and it's like, okay, this is definitely something that's going to be carried into the next kind of into the next season. Like, it seems way too dramatic and really out of the blue for it to be like a one-liner or like a one-episode kind of thing. Because even if it is, then that would just be really weird. Like, why bring up something that taboo and controversial if it's just for shock value or if it's just for like something else? But I don't know. It seems like they're definitely going to drag that into the next season, so I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to seeing how that's executed, but I am gonna have to anyway. I'm gonna have to watch it in the next season. I'm gonna have to watch it. But yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense how she'd reached that conclusion. Like the way Deborah always talks about Dexter to her therapist, it's not unreasonable to draw that kind of conclusion. Like she always paints Dexter out to be this saint of a brother that she loves so dearly, the one anchor in her life that keeps her grounded and is always there for her when she needs him and stuff like that. I mean, that's what family should be, people who are there for you and love you and accept you and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, like any reasonable person would just think that, oh, so he is pretty much just a really good brother and a really great guy who's always there for his sister and stuff like that. But then she just drags that on and on and on and on. So it's like, like the way she constantly talks about that and the fact that, oh, Dexter's the only person I can trust and, I love him so much and all that stuff. And then the therapist is like, okay, veering into some kind of, like kind of not closeted, but like, some like deeply repressed kind of feelings here that I'm sensing. So I'm just going to draw my own conclusions based on that. I have no idea what that was. Just the glass shaking things that the therapists do. Like, yeah. So that's that. But yeah, I mean, I've never seen it. I've personally never seen any kind of romantic subtext throughout Deborah and Dexter's past. Just literal kind of, at times, maybe sibling rivalry, but more often than not, just familial love. Just simple familial love in a very non-romantic sense. Like, the love that familial members should have between each other is literally all I've ever seen between them. But yeah, so that was the therapist's suggestion that maybe she's in love with Dexter, so it didn't. So that then led on to the dream that she had later. So I guess in the next episode we will see Deborah maybe reflecting on this stuff a little bit more, and then season 7 might bring out more of this stuff. I mean, again, to me it seems like something they might drag into the next season, because otherwise it just seems like that this is something that they're using for shock value, if anything. If it's going to be addressed and solved within 2 episodes, I feel like something like this, if it's going to be like brought up and then solved by the next episode, it just feels like shock value more than anything else. But yeah, we will see exactly how that gets dragged forward. What else did we have? We had Lewis. So Lewis kind of had a moment with Dex outside the elevator, saying that he was grateful that Dexter was honest about his video game and everything. That he had like a new clarity on life and all that sort of stuff. And then the next thing we see, he's in his apartment, boxing up the arm and getting ready, and then writing Dexter's name. So I don't know if he was gonna send it to Dexter or if he was gonna find a way to try and plant it in Dexter's apartment or something. I mean, I don't know how that would what that would lead to, but maybe he would call, I don't know, like, I mean, if he was framing him, then he would probably plant it, then phone in like an anonymous tip that it was there, and then frame Dexter that way. But either way, he was doing that. I think, was that even the real arm? Let me go back and look. It didn't look like the real arm, not entirely. No. I think it looked slightly like, it looked somewhat like, where was it? Is it way back here? It was not. Where was it? Where are you? Where are you? Not here? Not there? No, it was here. Yeah, so, okay, so wait, so what was he doing first? He was drawing like, so palm lines, like the lines you have on your palm. He was drawing those in Sharpie, in different colors too, along the thing. So he was drawing palm lines. Okay, so he did that, and then see, the thing with this, right, is that this looks way too small to be an actual human arm. Like maybe a baby's arm. That seems like it might make more sense. It looks like it comes to about that big, if anything, and that is way too small to be like a regular human arm, like a child's arm, if anything. Like a toddler or something. But it has the painted fingernails. It has that stuff. So that was that. So he drew it, and then so it looks like it has like some kind of plastic. It looks like a prop more than anything. It doesn't look like the actual arm. So I think maybe he did have the actual. Maybe he did have the actual arm on display when we saw it last, and then this is some kind of replica he's made or something. I don't know. Or this could just be the way that he's modified the arm to make it look nice and clean and tidy, so that it doesn't actually, look like a dead arm just lying around on a random shelf in his apartment. But yeah, it looks pretty fake. That does not even look like a decaying skin. It looks like a wax arm or something. But yeah, so he's putting that into a box, and then filling it with the non-edible peanuts. And then he was writing Dexter's name on it. Yeah. So I think, so he was writing Dexter on it. So I think maybe he could be sending it to Dexter as a message. Well, no, I don't know what he would gain from sending it to Dexter. Maybe just getting like a bit of a shock out of Dexter. But I think if he wanted revenge against Dexter because Dexter did this, like because Dexter insulted his game and he said it was his life's work and shit like that. So if Dexter insulted that, then he'd likely take incredible offense from it. So he'd want to actually get back at Dexter in a likely very harmful way. So I think framing him for having an important piece of evidence from a year-old case that was solved, but still a tremendously big case, like a piece of evidence from that, a key evidence, framing him for that would be a very, very interesting way to actually get back at him. So we will see where that leads us to as well. But yeah, so Lake of Fire was the next tableau. So Wormwood was not the final one. Wormwood was the one that was supposed to work. That was the one that was supposed to work, taking out the police department and stuff. But then that one didn't work, so he had to move into the next line in the book, and he went for Lake of Fire. So I'm gonna go back and quickly listen to that one as well, see what the explanation is for Lake of Fire. Okay, so the beast is the one that assembles pretty much the armies of Earth, like the armies and the kings of Earth, and prepares them for a war against God. So, I think in that sense, like in a biblical sense, then using God's own creations against him would be a pretty kind of sinful thing to do that someone like Travis would want to get rid of. So then he sees Dexter as the Beast pretty much. Like, Travis is a man of God. He's working to serve God, and then like Dexter is pretty much among the people working to stop him, and to actually lead the fight against him too. So he sees Dexter as the Beast that he needs to take down, and that's further evidenced. Is that a word? Further proven by his actually rather accurate and good portrait of Dexter on the wall. Yeah, that was like a surprisingly well done thing. Yeah, the time lapse he did actually showed that as well, like him taking little dabs of paint here and there and stuff like that. So yeah, that is actually surprisingly good. That is a surprisingly good piece. But yeah, I mean, Dexter bald with 2 horns growing out of his head is something I can actually see. That's something I can, at least Michael C. Hall with bald with 2 horns growing out of his head, that is something I can somehow see. Only because it's depicted in front of me, but still. So yeah, he sees Dexter as the Beast, gathering all the people of Earth to actually fight back against him and his work for God. So he is the ultimate enemy that he needs to throw into the lake of fire, into the pit of fire, to die a second death. So yeah, but now, to Travis's knowledge, Dexter is dead. To his knowledge, he didn't see him swimming away. So I think now Dexter has to make if he is going to make a surprise attack, it's going to have to be a good one. I think he probably should make a surprise attack, just to minimize the chances of Travis actually being able to get away or being able to prepare any kind of counterattack. If he doesn't see Dexter coming, there's a little chance that he'll actually know how to fight back or know what to do in that sense. Instead of warning him with some more biblical verses or religious talk, and giving him more time to have an escape plan in hand. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see exactly how this stuff goes, but that is pretty much all I have for this one. I think Travis is very much, I think, nearing his end. I think he is kind of he is definitely too far gone. That's beyond that's kind of beyond obvious. He is way too far gone. He is not dropping this act now. So I think I like the way they opened the series and they handled Dexter's stance on religion, but now it's showing that just because that showing one evil person's work with religion is showing Dexter that religion is not the answer. He has to resort to his dark passenger. I think that's a less than ideal way to portray that. I think I mean, he's not denouncing God completely. I think he still accepts religion as a way, but it's just that I think maybe he is also capable of seeing that Travis is using religion the wrong way. He's using it to kill people and to harm people that have not done no explicit bad in their lives, and that they've just trying to live their lives and stuff like that. So he's aware that there is a good. He's aware now that there is a good and bad one. I think meeting Brother Sam, he realized that Brother Sam was the epitome in his own kind of meeting experience of someone trying to do good with religion and trying to use it to better the lives of other people. But Travis was someone using that kind of lifestyle for very, very bad things. So I think he's come to terms with the fact that now that there is a good and bad to religion, and he has to. This way, he can't really approach it with religion. He has to approach it the way he best knows how to take down a serial killer, and that's by using his code and his dark passenger. So yeah, we'll see exactly how everything concludes in the final episode of this season, and see how stuff opens up in the next season. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have for this one. So that was Dexter, Season 6, Episode 11, titled Talk to the Hand. But yeah, that is it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of the episode and what you think is coming up next in the finale. The uncut reaction will be up on Patreon, so feel free to check that out. And yeah, that's it. So I will see you guys next time.